Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. So look, there could not be a better topic to have a conversation on other than Corona, because this is one area or topic I feel is it has united and is can be related with everybody. What I was talking about is, hey, look, this topic itself is quite common and on top of everybody's mind globally. um, if you look at it from an economic standpoint of view, and we compare it to the 2007 and 2008 global crisis, this impact of coronavirus is very, very much bigger than what we saw in 2008 or 2007 and 2008. And what is the reason behind that? So there are two primary or three primary reasons, in my view, that this financial crisis or these crises related to the coronavirus is going to be much bigger impact on financial markets and economies. Because first, if you look at 2007 and 2008 crisis that happened in US, largely the impact was in US and Europe. Economies like China, India were largely not impacted by the financial crisis you saw. Okay. But this coronavirus crisis is impacting every single major economy globally. So the impact is going to be much bigger compared to what we saw in 2007 and 8 financial crisis. Okay. So that's point number one. Point number two is, if you look at that crisis, which was considered to be one of the biggest in decades, primarily targeted the financial sector. So the banks who were lending out money, the mortgage issues that were happening, but those were primarily concentrated in the financial markets, and it was still a manageable financial crisis from the perspective of what you are seeing today. But if you look at today, at least 70% of the industries and are impacted directly or indirectly due to coronavirus at varying degrees. So the impact is global, as well as the impact is across industries, versus in 2008 and 9, where the impact was very specific to, I would say, North America and Europe, and the impact was very curtailed in the financial world. So even though the impact of coronavirus from a financial standpoint of view is still unclear how much it's going to be, but the consensus within industry, and when we talk within even GE, is that it is likely to be worse than we had thought. I'm going to walk you through from here on some of the United States, what's happening in the United States, how things are going here, and you guys might already be reading some of this stuff. And then I'm going to be very specific on how GE as a company is managing, and I think it will give you some perspective to you all who are going to be future leaders once you graduate out of your business studies or other curriculum you are doing, that is going to help you understand, if you are ever faced in this kind of situation, what are the key things you should look at when you are in the business world or or working for other companies when you move on. So a lot of these pages I've already covered in my summary, but if you look at this crisis, meaning these chart changes every day, so this is a little bit dated, but clearly the impact is global. You saw it started in China, then it moved to Europe, and now US is seeing the brunt of coronavirus crisis as a nation. Talking about some aspects in United States, there are 600,000 plus confirmed coronavirus cases in US. And I can tell you the actual number of cases is probably double than this. And the reason I say is that people are not being allowed to go for coronavirus testing because the hospitals are overwhelmed and they don't have enough test kits in US, especially in New York where I live. I have a lot of cases where people are telling that they are unable to even go to the hospital until and unless they are considered a very serious case where they are having a problem breathing. But if you have mild symptoms, you are not even allowed to go for testing or allowed access to the hospital. So that's why I say these kind of numbers are, in my opinion, probably double than what is being shown. And the deaths also related to coronavirus is reaching 30,000, and this is a significant number compared to anywhere else in the world if you look at it. Now, India, on the contrary, as you guys see, I think the government and the people are doing a great job in containing the coronavirus crisis, and I think U.S. probably should have taken a little bit more steps early on, but we are where we are as we sit today. So that is as far as the human impact is concerned. Now, the financial impact of this, as we see today, and what's going on in the United States, the biggest impact that a normal person is going to see is going to come from job losses. The last week alone, there were 6.6 million unemployment claims filed in the United States, and this number will continue to grow in coming weeks. And some of the studies even point out that this could be, the number could reach at 25% unemployment in the United States. And if I give you some comparison, a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, we were at the lowest unemployment rate in the history of United States, which was below 3%. So within 45 days to 2 months, the situation has drastically changed. 1/3 of the US economy is almost completely shut down as we speak, and the other 2/3 is impacted in some way or the other. Okay. Now, the government, just so you know what they are doing here, is they are trying to make sure that the workers are not being laid off, and they are actually giving funds to small businesses. If you have a sandwich store like a Subway, or if you have a very small business, the government is giving loans, and the government is also giving funds to pay the employees, provided you keep those employees on your payroll. And that's how the government is mitigating this unemployment levels and trying to keep it low. But still, it is really one of the biggest impacts a normal person is seeing. If you look at from an industry, and I'll give you a little bit more details on the impact, and I'll cover it in the next slides on which industries are impacted more. But this will be the major issue for the Trump administration as they go through to understand what is going on. And I already on the right hand side of this page mentioned that this will be the worst recession, at least how we see it today. The most difficult part about this recession is nobody has ever seen this unprecedented change. Like recessions typically start, and there is a ramp up or a ramp down, if you may, in the economy, and it's predictable, and there are historical evidences on how recessions generally progress and stuff. But nobody has ever seen such a sudden change in economy. I was running my business. If you asked me 45 days ago how I'm going to do in 2020, I would have said I'm going to beat all my financial projections. Business is doing great. I was hiring. Okay. And in 45 days, the situation has completely changed. Now, the US government is already has given $2.3 trillion, which is going to go to people who have who earn below $99,000. Everybody is going to get $3,000 off, I think $3,000 roughly of checks from the government, so that they can continue to sustain their day-to-day life without working. And they are also giving a lot of money to industries to sustain themselves. And I'll talk a little bit about one of the hardest hit industry in the next slides. But this $2.3 trillion is not enough. The $2.3 trillion that the US government is giving today is only to stop the bleeding so that the people don't lose jobs and companies don't go under. This money is not enough to restart the economy. So they would have to give another $1 to $2 trillion. That's why I put 4 trillion to kickstart the economy, where they will have projects that will go out and so on and so forth. So a lot of money is being given at this stage and is contemplated by the U.S. government, which is very bold move in this harsh environment. So I would say that is something about the U.S. economy that would give you some flavor of what is the impact to the people and what is impact to the economy. Okay, now I just took this example of, and these numbers again keep changing every day. I'm sure it's worse because these numbers are a little bit dated. But the losses just in the airline industry in terms of revenue and 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 their profits is $113 billion if you take all the airline losses that they're seeing, because the flights, if you can see this picture, and I've been traveling. I used to travel. I stopped traveling about 30 days ago. But when I would be going on planes, which were full always, I would see not more than 2 or 3 people on the planes. So planes are flying either empty or they are not flying at all. And this is causing a major problem in this industry, in cruise industry as well. And that's why if you talk about industries, the hardest hit industries in terms of jobs, at least in the United States, are hotel and travel, which is this. So they are anticipating about $7.2 million of job losses in that industry, 7.9 in that industry itself in the month of April. And the other ones that are also getting impacted are retail, where excluding grocery business is still there because people are buying food, but nobody actually is going to buy clothes. Nobody is going to buy any other item. The economy is just running on essentials at this stage. Now, talking about some of the impact on the tech industry, you can see how much impact this has brought to the basic tech industry, like Apple and other people who are selling smart watches or smartphones or smart speaker. I'll give you an example. Actually, even if you want to buy a phone, you can. I was looking for a phone for my nephew 2-3 weeks ago, and the AT&T store, if you call them online, it takes 1 hour waiting time because they don't have enough people to answer the phone, and all the AT&T stores that you go and buy the product are actually shut. So this is unprecedented impact where any non-essential goods, which is either hospital is essential and food is essential. Other than that, everything is going to see a drastic decrease, which they are already seeing in this environment. I was looking and reading some of the other facts on the hotel industry that I just mentioned earlier, and one of the unions actually came out and said 98% of their employees, and they have about 300,000 to 400,000 employees in that union, are actually out of work. So the hardest hit people are going to be the day-to-day workers who are actually are in the, I would say, in the bottom part of the salary range anyways. So this will definitely have a major impact. And this is, I talked some of this stuff, all governments are spending money, and these are dated, but at the end of the day, there is going to be a lot more government support required in each of the economies to kickstart. These numbers would not be enough. Just like US 2 trillion is not enough. They would have to do more. And all the rest of the economies in Europe, as well as in China and India, and I know India government is also trying to put some stimulus money out. Those will all be. And these are some additional facts, guys. I don't want to say you can read this, but at the end of the day, everything is impacted. And I have personally, in my own career of 20 years. I'm going to change the subject. We have spent 20 minutes, and the next 10, 15, 20 minutes I would like to spend on how a company like GE actually deals with these situations, what is important to look at in these situations, and what are some of the steps that I'm actually taking for my business, and overall GE is taking for GE as well. Okay. Before I get in there, so that you guys have a better understanding of what business I'm in, I'm in GE's power conversion business. We are the electrification arm of GE. We take mechanical processes and convert them to electrical processes and to improve the reliability or the performance of a particular process. We are supplying to marine industry, where we supply to navies, and we supply the propulsion system. If you are engineers, or some of you are, which is considered on motors and drives. So we do marine. We supply to oil and gas industry, and industry and power segment, which I lead, which covers a broad range of segments of metals, mining, power gen, wind, and typical general industry work. So even if you look at this business, there is different dynamics in different industry. In the middle, oil and gas is completely shut down at the moment, given the oil prices and what is going on. We are seeing a very steep decline in demand for our products. In the marine, on the other hand, there is a lot of money being spent by US Navy and UK Navy to sustain the economy. So they are actually giving out more orders than we had expected. So that is working. And in industry, I'm seeing various dynamics where metals and mining are going down, but power is actually up, where power plants and these essential items are essential industries are actually spending good money. And these are some of the customers. These are the only two slides I have to introduce the business that we are in, and you can see some of the people that we supply to. So guys, before I go into power conversion specific, so GE. So if you look at GE today, what is the impact of these on GE? Firstly, the impact is coming on the employees that we are seeing, and we want to make sure our employees are safe. We want to make sure that we are supporting our customers as we go through this process. And there is two businesses in GE that are impacted the most. One is GE Aviation, where we are seeing a steep decline in need for aircraft engines. That's what we supply. On the contrary, on the other hand, in the healthcare business, we also supply ventilators, and we are seeing a lot of our businesses who are stepping up to make ventilators for our GE healthcare business, because there is such a demand for ventilators that each one of the businesses has been asked to chip in with resources to help out. At the end of the day, the total impact on GE at this stage is unknown, in my view, because the situation is so fluid. It's going to be dependent upon how many of our customers actually can sustain this environment. Now I'm going to go, which I really like, the next section of this presentation, which is very, very tactical and specific on what the investors ask me and ask the business, and how we are going through this item. So guys, all of you are going to be business leaders of the future, or doing something big once you graduate from Amity. When you get into a financial crisis, there are two main concerns the investor have. Okay, the first is on the left hand side, which is current liabilities. And why is current liabilities going to be the important thing every investor is looking at? Is because if you are not able to pay your debt, short-term debt, then you will become bankrupt. So the number one concern of every single investor today who is investing in GE or some other company is to make sure that there is enough money that the companies can pay their short-term debt. And if you look at GE's short-term debt, we have actually done a good job from 2015 to 2019 to significantly reduce it by 25 to 28%. And we are in a very good, strong position with our cash balances to cover our short-term debt need. So an investor, when he's looking at least he is certain that GE is not going to go bankrupt. Okay. Now, other industries, if you look at why the stock prices of companies like United Airlines, if you know US Airlines, or Delta Airlines, or Royal Caribbean Cruise, they have dropped 60 to 70% in some cases from what they were 2 months ago. Royal Caribbean, which is a cruise line, their stock was trading at over $100 at a point and now is at 28 or 29. So they have lost significant value. And again, the reason why that is because investors are not sure that if the cruises are not running, if the flights are not running, can these companies sustain over time? So that is one. And the right-hand side is operating profit. Again, I don't know how many finance people are here, but one thing people want to make sure is as the revenues are going down, the costs are going down. But the most important thing people look at is how people are managing their base cost, if you see here. Okay. And base cost, if you know, is gross margin minus base cost is op profit. Gross margin is not going to change in very short period, but base cost needs to be controlled in order to maintain a good operational profit for the business. So these are the two things, guys, the investors are really looking for companies like myself in GE or anybody else. I hope this one is understandable. So what do we do? Okay. So there are 5 things that I personally do and have done over the last 45 days, and all the leadership in GE is doing every day. Okay. When we got into this crisis, the first thing obviously is we all get on the phone at various levels. And first and foremost, our main focus is security and safety of our employees. And I have one page for each one of them, so I'll cut in details with you. The second most important thing is to do scenario planning. Whenever you get into a crisis situation, it is very important that you do some scenario planning. Hey, what could be the best case? What could be the worst case? Otherwise, because the outcome is not clear, you will not be prepared on how you handle it. The third thing is we don't spend time in GE trying to control the uncontrollable. For example, I don't know how many of my customers are going to go bankrupt. I don't know how long this coronavirus impact is going to be. I don't know a lot of things. I don't know how much stimulus the US government is going to put in. These things are outside our control. So we always focus in GE on what is in our control is what we start looking at, which is primarily cost, okay, of our own operations. The next 2 things are fast decision making and alignment. In a crisis situation, it becomes you cannot leave decision making, put out decision making for a very long time. You have to make real time decisions fast. And in my own business experience, I have seen it's not always that you have made a perfectly right decision. Sometimes you have to make a decision with less data, but you have to make a decision so that the entire other population in G, the other 200, 300,000 people that we have, they are clear on where we are headed, because otherwise there is going to be confusion and you don't want that. And lastly, we communicate. I have a daily call with my team for 30 minutes on coronavirus. I communicate to all my employees on a weekly basis, and so forth. G leadership is also doing the same with us and everybody else. So communication. So these 5 things are what we ourselves get focused on whenever we are in a crisis situation. This is the same what we did in 2008 and 2009 crisis financial, except there was not much safety concern at that stage for employees. But other than that, everything else is what we do. So let's talk through each one of them. and see what in detail are we doing. So, for example, for the safety and security of our employees, we have asked 100% of our employees except factory workers to work from home. We don't want anybody coming, and you guys are in the lockdown in India yourselves, so you are very familiar. Even though there is no lockdown per se in US, people are still allowed to go to work, and some of the essential businesses are working. But GE proactively has gone and requested that employees that can work from home are supposed to work, are entitled to work from home. And there is a lot of planning that goes in it. For me, I have three facilities, one in Canada, one in Pittsburgh in US, and one in Houston. And we have successfully taken all our employees and have facilitated them to work from home, except our factory workers. We are also providing safety equipment to our employees, like we mask, whether it be some proper gear, all those things that we're providing. We are training the employees on how to deal with COVID. We are making sure that they know the healthcare providers, they know where to go if they have any concerns. So we are providing all the stuff. And from a travel perspective, we have restricted all travels except if it's a customer essential travel. Guys, why is this important? We still are traveling in US, at least unlike I think in India, they have shut down complete travel. The customer essential travel is working. For example, if there is a cruise ship or there is a Navy ship that is at the dock and they need some repair to go out, we have to send our people to do it. Otherwise, there would be defense concerns. There would be concerns related to our customers will not be able to operate. And if the customers are not operating, then they will go bankrupt for sure because they cannot do their business, and it's going to have a ripple impact. So in US, and maybe that's why the cases are still high in US, there is still travel allowed for customer specific travel. Okay. This is scenario planning, guys. This is the second topic I talked about. If you look at it, this is my business scenario planning. I said, hey, look, what is my base case assumption? Okay. As I said today, I said there will be no restriction in US travel, like at least there would be flights if we have to go to a customer available, and that's the situation today. I've already assumed that the industries that will be impacted are cruise, metals, and minings that I supply to. I've found out which customers, I've assumed which customers will be closed. I've assumed how many days of delay would be from our suppliers. So these items, and then I do some financial modeling to see where am I going to be in North America or overall in the industry segment. Okay. And then similarly, you do a worst case and the best case. And the reason, guys, we do all this stuff of scenario planning is so that if the situation suddenly becomes worse, I'm not now scrambling to figure out what to do. I need to know if this situation becomes like this, what are the steps I have to follow? And this has been communicated to all my leadership team and employees. Everybody knows the gameplay. Everybody knows, hey, if the lockdown continues for another 30 days, what do we have to do? If some of the other customer sites close out, what do we have to do from a cost perspective has been planned. So first is safety of employees, and second is scenario planning is what we do in terms of crisis. Third is controlling the controllable, which I talked about. Okay. And that is you can only control your own cost situation. You cannot control whether you get orders from the customers because some of the orders might slip in the situation. You cannot control, as I mentioned, with customers, but I can control how much money I'm going to spend on travel, how much money I'm going to spend on merit increases, how much money I'm going to spend on hiring new people, how much money I'm going to spend on my new product investments. So these are the items that I sit down and look at every day. I say, hey, can I give merit increases to my employees this year? And unfortunately, we had to make a decision to not give merit increases to the employees, given that we are seeing a slowness in the industry and the revenue and the margins are down for us. We have frozen all non-essential travel, so we are going to save money on that. We have frozen all training. We have stopped all hiring at this stage. We are consolidating as much office space as we can. So there are a lot of actions I'm taking or already have taken to reduce my base cost and variable cost. And guys, if you don't know base cost, I would highly recommend you go and read some financial courses, or you guys might already take it. This is important factor in running an organization when you are running a business for yourself. I think that's where I ended up because there are no more details for the ones that are below. Fast decision making and communication and internal and external communication is critical at this stage. So the customer and the employees and everybody knows where we stand. Again, I would suggest you take a picture of this. If you are ever in a leadership role and you find yourself in a crisis situation, I think following these 5 steps is going to help you better deal with the situation, no matter the situation is going to be tough.
What I need to check was this question has come in that you have shown a lot of financial figures. You are a specialized marketing professional, right? So how important is finance for the marketing professional? So in an organization, so.
Yeah. Hey guys, as Gaurav just mentioned, I actually did my business degree in marketing, and I'm an engineer from undergraduate. And most of my initial career was actually in marketing, sales, and product management. But I would not be running a business had I not taken the time and effort to learn finance, to understand balance sheets, income statement, and the interactions of those. I was lucky enough that I went in my career of 16 years in GE. 3 years I spent in corporate audit staff, which is a leadership program of finance in GE. Even though I had zero finance experience, I did 3 years of that. And the only reason I'm running a business, in my view, is because I had that experience. Because without those aspects, I think it's going to be very difficult to be in a position to run a business. To directly answer Gaurav's question, I think it is of paramount importance that no matter what your discipline is today, at some point, if you are planning to be in business, it is critical to understand income statement, balance sheets, and the interactions of those.
All right, thank you. My other question is, there's a lot of HR faculty who is logged in and students who want to specialize in HR. Right? Due to current crisis, there's a lot of the role of HR becomes important, right? And since you being the leader of your company, how they're managing the pressure of employee on the edge of more going out or being retained. So.
Yep. So, guys, this is a great question because I have seen a lot of companies in GE. HR function is considered one of the most important functions in GE. Okay, I personally rely on my HR leader. Her name is Dina. She sits in Pittsburgh to manage and help me manage this situation. Okay, because as rightly said in the question, at the end of the day, this has significant impact on the employees and as well as the morale. So as an HR leader, okay, my HR leader is working every day. First of all, she is the one who has started to track all the employees. If you have any kind of symptom, she has created a structure where she's helping us track which employees are facing any kind of difficulties because of coronavirus. She is the person who is ensuring that if there are employees who have to come to work because to our factories and they have young kids and there is no daycare service, she is making sure and ensuring those are available. She is working with our supply chain to make sure that our workers have all the safety equipment. She is ensuring that people understand the impact, and if there is any kind of adverse impact in terms of headcount, she's making sure that all the employees are understanding, and we are making sure that their families, if we have to take any strict action, are being taken care of in this environment. So guys, HR has a very strong function to play. She's also managing communications for us, where she is communicating with employees on all the actions and our responses to that. So a lot of focus is actually with HR and finance. So I have my CFO and HR leader and myself. We three connect almost every day or every other day to understand the situation financially and as people is going. And I personally rely on my HR leader to guide me through this process. And to be honest with you, she has been phenomenal for me. And I think that's how HR is playing a very, very strong role in this environment.
Okay. Another question, a quick one is, are there any recovery plan to come out from this financial crisis?
So look, we have already anticipated the impact as we currently see. I'm talking about our own business. I think Gaurav, the question is related to GE or in general for the whole.
I think so. This must be pertaining to GE. I mean, you can answer for GE.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look at GE, right, and I talk about my own business, GE Power Conversion, we have gone and looked at the base case scenario and said, as I know today, I'm going to be losing $500 million of op profit because of this concern. And now I'm working to identify areas on how I can mitigate that $500 million by the actions I mentioned to you, cutting down T&L, reducing hiring, cutting down cost of tendering, cutting down cost of our marketing budget, because these are, I would not say these are non-essential, but these are some things that for short term you can cut down. So that's how we are trying to recover from here. In addition, we are trying to focus, if you are some of the marketing folks or others, we are trying to focus on industries that are not slowing down. As I mentioned, in United States, for example, we sell to a lot of Navy equipment. And recently we requested the Navy, they were giving an order for one ship. We requested them to give an order for 3 ships, and they are going to give it the order for 3 ships right away, so that we can keep our engineers and some of the other folks. So we are shifting our focus to industries like power and Navy, who are actually still working and giving out money, and we are reducing our focus from cruise lines and from metals and mining, which are seeing a downturn. So from a recovery standpoint of view, there are 2 things. One is we change focus to somewhere where there is market, and second is we control cost. And this is how we are focusing on. And last point I like to make on this one is, I don't know, to be honest with you, how long this recovery will take. There are predictions that maybe this is short. Okay, we could be back in good business in third quarter. But there is also school of thought where people think this will last years before the economies will be back to normal. So it's just a very difficult, environment and unpredictable to say the least.
There's a question from our faculty, Rajesh Yadav. He wants to ask is what kind of industry will be able to survive? Actually, which are the industries which are going to get benefited? Just if you can list down the top 3, top 5. So.
Yeah, I would say is healthcare is benefited for sure, right? Meaning I'm trying to buy some masks for my employees and I'm unable to secure them as GE. I'm trying to buy hand sanitizer. Actually, GE is making their own hand sanitizer, and I have to buy from GE now because I cannot buy it from outside for our employees. So healthcare definitely will see, and with the ventilators, millions and millions of ventilators getting sold, millions and millions of CT scan machines, my healthcare business is seeing. I think that business will see an uptake. Second, the businesses that will be seeing benefiting are all these Zoom. If you look at Zoom stock, it has gone from nowhere, and I don't know exactly what it's trading, but it is crazy. In 1 month, their stock price has significantly gone up just because a lot of people are using Zoom, because Zoom consumes less bandwidth compared to WebEx that we are using today, or Skype. So those industries will pick up who are providing these kind of remote, the third industry that I think is going to benefit is all these TV channels and entertainment of those, because what are we doing at home? We are watching movies, or we are watching. So I'm buying movies on Netflix or watching them for free, whatever the case might be. I signed up for Disney movie account. I'm watching TV, so the ad revenue of all these people are going up because there are more and more TRP. So I think these are the few industries I think are benefiting or are going to be okay. And I already mentioned to you which industries are going to see a major impact is obviously airlines, cruise lines, hotels, meaning these industries, and retail. These four industries are hammered, going to be hammered as we go through.
Okay, one of our student, I think so, Vanshika Chaturvedi, has a question. What she is asking is that is this work from home a short-term phenomenon, or is organization going to adapt it? I mean, I know US, you guys have been working from home also. It's part of your, work culture. But in India, it's not so. So, do you think that around the world now, people will adapt work from home as a accepted cultural norm?
A great question, Shika. Actually, I'm surprised you asked. It's very good because about 2 weeks ago, our CEO at GE asked us the same question. He said, I would like you guys to think through this, not as a short term, but if this became the norm, if this becomes the norm where we are not able to meet and we have to work remotely, how do we operate in this environment in a sustainable mode, right? Okay, for 1 month or something, everybody can do it, right? But there are a lot of activities like meetings, or we have a workout, we have where people like to come together and you have to write on a whiteboard and you have to. He's like, how do we do all these things remotely? Because maybe the situation improves, or maybe the situation will not improve. And this is a much longer play. So he asked us actually to go and look at what tools we need if this was a permanently, the situation remains like this for a year. How do we run our business? And again, that's why our IT team are working around the clock to give bandwidth now. All videos were stopped, and that's why I'm not starting my video either. In GE, we had to ban people doing all video conferences because our network could not sustain, all 200, 300,000 people being on the web at the same time. And it was a bandwidth issue. So now they are trying to find ways where we can still do video, but at a lower bandwidth, and we can still collaborate. So new tools are being given to us where you can, use your computer as a whiteboard. So this will become a norm. I think India as a society, I don't think we have reached that maturity as yet. But I would think, because I think we believe in India that if you're not working in front of the office, you're not working. But actually, that's not true. And people will be judged on the output versus versus how much hours you spend in the office. And that's where I think we are headed in US.
Okay, I have another question. This is from our student Ria Oberoi and from our faculty, Dr. Mamta Sharma. So they have, I'm just going to club in both the questions. One is that, sir, at your leadership role, what are your present working hours and change in lifestyle compared to pre-COVID times? And Dr. Mamta Sharma is asking that how has this situation changed you as a leader?
Okay, good question. I guess this is very good. Personally, it has it is a big change. Okay, and then I will talk about on the leadership side. Is I used to be traveling 60% of the time, and today I'm traveling zero, and that has created a challenge for me to be how to remain in touch with my employees. And that has changed for me how I interact with them. I'm doing a lot of one-on-ones with people. I am trying to be on a lot of the calls with people so that they feel that I am visible. Okay. I am now attending meetings that I would typically not attend because I would be at customer or I would be in some other strategy sessions. But given that situation, I'm actually taking part in workouts myself so that people feel. So that's how I am making my presence felt and making sure that people actually feel integrated. Okay. My working hours. So one thing definitely has changed that, I save 3 hours a day now. I'm actually more productive in my view at home, barring my kids situation where I have 3 kids and they cause a lot of, there is always, that because they run around and it's difficult to concentrate. But at the end of the day, I do save 3 hours because I don't have to, when now I start my day at 6 a.m. because I deal a lot with Europe. Okay. So and Europe is 6 hours ahead. So I have to, I start my work at 6 a.m. But I have to only get up at, 5:45 and just get a cup of coffee and start working. Versus I would have to get ready. You have to take a train or you take a car to go to the office. It will take you an hour and a half. So that way, I think it has given me a little bit more time personally. But my working hours are 6 a.m. and it goes on because the drawback that I see on working from home that I've been experiencing is there is no limit to when you're working or not working, so you're always working. I see myself working at 7, 8 o'clock, taking calls and everybody's taking calls. Whereas if you are in a office environment, typically if people go back 6 o'clock or something, we don't do calls. But I see now, I was on a call yesterday at 8 p.m. With my employees in US because all of them are experiencing the same situation. So these are some of the things that are impacting me personally. Obviously, the schools are closed in US just like in India, and it is very difficult to have 3 young children, and the schools are now the biggest issue we are facing. Okay, personally, if you say our schools are giving the homework every day, so every morning my kids get homework, which is probably take us 3-4 hours to get done with them, and they are only 7-year-old. So I have my wife and myself, we have to teach them. And now we have 2 jobs. We are working our regular job and we have to also teach our kids because the teachers are not. So that is causing a lot of stress as well.
So I'm just coming to, I think, so 2, 3 questions remain. One is on supply chain. So we have our 2 student, I think, so Leena and Dhanush, and they're asking that, has the logistics come to a complete halt, right, for GE, right? The other one is that, has it, affected the global movement of supply chain management for GE? So, because most of the products might be coming from China. So, I mean, if GE.
Yeah, we are monitoring that every day. To be honest, there are some products that got impacted because either the supplier is not working or the supplier is not able to ship. For all the essential products, we are still trying to manage it within GE or with some other alternate suppliers. So there is an impact to the question that is being asked, but the impact is, I would not say it is still manageable. At least at GE level, we have not completely shut down our production because of supply chain. We are still shipping products. We are still getting products. So at least in the United States, that aspect is still working versus in India, they have shut down it completely where they are not even letting people travel anywhere. So I don't know how that it's working in India. But in US, essential products to keep the economy going are still being worked.